Want to make creating a budget easier? Let's try Google Sheets. Creating a budget's one of those mundane things that nobody ever wants to do, but you have to do it, especially when you want to try to save money and see where your money's going. In the previous video, I showed you how to do it in a local install of Microsoft Excel. And as I mentioned, not everyone has Excel loaded on their local computer, plus it's an expensive software. So Google's really nice. They actually come up with Google Sheets. It's pretty much the exact same as a Microsoft local install Excel. There's a few differences, and it doesn't have quite everything that you'd want, but it's good enough to make a budget. So what we're going to do is swing over to Google Sheets. You want to go to Google and do a Google Sheets search. Click on the link. Then you want to select Personal. And then you're going to need to create a login, or if you already have one, go ahead and sign in to Google to be able to access Google Sheets. You can just ignore the take the tour. And you'll see that you have a blank sheet, and if you also notice, you also have a monthly budget they've already created for you, and we'll look at that here in a minute. But let's go into a blank sheet first. And I've already copied and pasted everything in from the other sheet into that, which you can do. But we'll take a look at that so you can see it's exact same as working a local install. Just a few things are in a few different places. Now I've copied everything over from the previous video that I made from the previous spreadsheet. So it was already on my clipboard, so I just pasted it in here. That would save time from having to type all this stuff in. But I'd color coded it for like fixed expenditures, variable expenditures, and you can see up here in the ribbon that you have all sorts of different tools for like color coding and text and fonts and things like that. It looks a little bit different than a local install, but it's still pretty much the same thing. And I just created a color guide in this column to kind of give you an idea of what my color codes are for there. And as I mentioned in the previous video, which you'll want to go check out, I get a little more in depth on what I was doing here, but you don't have to do this. I mean, I like it. It's my personal preference to be able to color code, create graphs, and things like that. But if you're just trying to do a simple basic budget, I just want to show that in Google Sheets, in the spreadsheet form, that it's really simple. It's easy, just as easy as regular Excel. But let's get into what I was doing here. I wanted to show what the graphs that I have created, the colors and stuff, kind of explain a little bit, then we'll go through the steps of how I've actually created a budget. Like I said, it's the same as the previous video except we're in Google Sheets, but I intend on going into another template that Google Sheets offers. So we'll start here. As I mentioned, you can make the colors whatever you want them to be. They don't have to be my colors. It's just to help visualize. But in this case here, this light blue indicates fixed expenses. Fixed expenses are things that are always going to be pretty much the same amount every month, like a mortgage or a rent, your cell bill, anything like that. And you can see how I just created the correlation here. Variable expenses are ones that do change from month to month. Now, for some people, the water and the electric pretty much stay the same amount of money. I mean, it may vary, $5 or $10, but in some areas, like the area I live in, the electric bill is never even close to the same, and our water company's crazy. They never change the same. They never charge the same amount. So it depends on you where you want to put them under fixed or variable. And again, this is just to help you visualize where your expenses are going. You don't even have to do this. You can just make a list of what you're paying out and don't care about the color codes or any kind of category they go in. But like I said, a variable expense is what's going to change. I do, for some reason, in this graph have the savings under a variable, and it's not. Savings should be under a fixed amount and I'll get to that and explain why. I have charted off credit cards all by themselves and put a little header above it. You don't have to do that either. You can put those credit cards right into the list. It doesn't matter. This is more from the way I like to organize, and plus it kind of helps explain it. The reason why I put the credit cards off to the side is because those are something that your goal is to pay off. So once they're paid off, and if you're not charging to them again, then they're out of your budget. So I set them aside, and that's what I usually do. If I get a credit card debt, I usually try to pay it off. But that's why it's set to the side, and that's why it's in a different color on its own. Now here, what I've done is I've put all the money that's going out. I've made the text red, and of course you can see by my little graph there how I've got it marked red. But red means money going out, and like I said, total visualization. It's not has to be, but so this helps me indicate that I know what's going out. And same as like the red money going out, I just made in this case green, meaning money coming in, because it's, green means go. It's a good thing. But this is, and you can have several different monthly, and try to total your monthly incomes in one. But if you have different multiple incomes, you might want to put them in this spreadsheet, and then you can always do a total on that as well. But and create a field for total. But for this, to make it simple, just make one field for your total monthly income after deductions and taxes and everything, what you're actually bringing home, and then put it in a field like this. Then in this case here, I made the blue what my net was, or what your net should be. And net is basically after you've paid all your bills, it'll be what you have left over. Now, however, some cases you may not actually have any money left over. I just threw these numbers out random, and it came out pretty nice. But in reality, you could end up being in a negative, which means you don't have enough money to come in to pay your bills. But just for color coding purposes, to make it visually appeasing, I went ahead and made this blue, and you can see how I've color coded it. I mentioned this earlier. Now I've gone ahead and copied and pasted everything over from the local install. I did not copy and paste the color code graph that I put over to the side. It's not important, and I didn't get it quite right, but we're going to use the sum function over here to the right in order to get the total of our monthly payments. Same as before, you click sum, which you can access from the function thing up in the formula bar, but we'll grab all of our monthly payments, make sure they're all selected. Then when you hit enter, it gives you your total. And the same as before, we're going to go ahead and enter our monthly income. This is still based off the $32,000 a year. And like I said, everything's going to be the exact same as we were doing in the other, but we'll go ahead and enter the monthly income. And then we're going to need to subtract our monthly payments from our monthly income. Like I said, it doesn't matter which one's larger or smaller. You could end up with a negative net. But we'll type in the equal sign in the field that we want the total to be in. Click the monthly income first. Then you'll want to hit your minus key. Then select your monthly payments and hit enter. And there's your net. Like I said, it's the exact same as using a local install Excel, except it's online, it's free, and you get the same results. And you can use it on your phone or your tablets. Probably a lot easier than you're going to be able to do a local install or buy the actual app. But I just wanted to show you the Google Sheets as an option to be able to figure out how to work a budget. Let's jump over here to the Google budget template that they provided in Google Sheets for you. It works the way they have it formatted. It works different than the way just a bare bones spreadsheet does. It's got some nice fields and some calculations already built in it, but it gives you some graphs, and it's really kind of nice to be free. We'll start off by entering a balance. I'm just going to make up something. Let's say we already have $6,000 in the bank. Then you'll want to scroll down here. I've already created these. I just had to go in, and anything in these manila colored fields, you just that's what you can actually change the data in, or the names or anything like that, or the amounts. So I created those, and these actually create categories on the transactions tab you see right there. And I'll show that to you in just a second. Now if you look on the front page, you'll find that you have two columns, one's expenses and one's income. You'll also notice that you'll see which is different from our spreadsheet that we did. You actually have planned, actual, and the difference. And you'll have little graphs up there right above your two columns that kind of visualize what they're talking about. It's kind of self-explanatory, but just to make sure that you're clear on it, planned means, let's say for the income, a planned income is you plan on your paycheck being that $2,667 every month. Um, so let's say that for whatever reason, a deduction or even a promotion, that paycheck may vary. So the next paycheck may be $3,000. It'll show you the difference. But for some reason, a deduction may happen that they've added on to it that it may come out less than that $2,667. And I've noticed that this program rounds it up. It doesn't do the actual cents. So because that was $2,666.67, so it just rounded up to the next dollar. But anyhow, so you'll be able to see the difference, and that'll kind of give you, in other words, if you're looking at the income column and you see uh, planned was that 2,000 and something, and then you actually got 3,000 for a paycheck, you'll see that you've actually got extra money right up there in the graph. Like I said, it's all based on visualization, and it does help. Same with the expenses. You'll have planned expenses. Now some, like for water and electric, you may be able to plan for those, but you know for a fact what your mortgage is supposed to be and your car payment is supposed to be. I mean, those pretty much stay the same. You may actually say that you're not going to spend any more than $100 on entertainment in a month, which would be a movies, going bowling, going for a drive, whatever. And then your credit cards usually are set in stone too, on as far as like the minimum payment. So the whole purpose of the difference column is basically to let you know if you have a plus, a positive income or a negative income. So if your expenses, let's say your mortgage goes up $5, you've planned on $750, and the actuals normally is 750, but this time now it's gone up and it's 755. The difference would show -5 over in that column. This is great for tracking. I mean, like I said, this thing's pretty much laid out to be a visualization interpretation. That way you can actually see if anything is going up, gone down. You can see if you're making money or losing money. It's a great way to track your expenses, and like I said, the calculation is already built in for you. But I did want to point out, like I said, the expenses column, I had to go down through there and pretty much just type in, you just click in the cell and type in what you want, name it. And what that does is create a category over on the transaction page, as I mentioned before. Your income column there, you can change the manila, which if you'll notice, you can change whatever it is. Like I just left it paycheck. I mean, you have savings bonus, but you can put whatever you want to there, but we'll just go for the paycheck for right now. You'll see in the manila you got planned. I haven't typed anything in that. The actual number is that $2,667. That's actually coming from the transactions page. You don't change anything that's in the white cells. You only change the stuff in the manila cells. Let's jump over to the transactions page so I can show you. You can see where I entered that $2,666.67. Like I said, rounded up. It will be on this page that you'll enter your amount for your expenses. For the categories, I got them from this page. I entered them over here, and that gave me my categories on the transactions page. So you'll enter an amount for, let's say, your mortgage. You can type a description if you want to. I just want to head down through here just for this testing, or this demonstration, just entered amounts for each category, just the same as the other spreadsheets that we did. You'll notice in this one it actually uses the date format, which is fine because what this is going to do is give you a month by month um, visualization and accounting. But I did notice this program seems to go a little wacky when you start trying to enter different months and stuff, but we'll look into that later. Um, but you just enter your dates, your amounts. Like I said, you can type a description, and then you go to a drop down over to the side to get your category, because the next one here will be the car payment. You'll see when I select this, or the car insurance. Now you'll see everything that you've entered in the transaction page. You'll see everything that you're in, the amounts and the actual. So for every number that you put in the transactional page, it showed up under the actual. And it'd be here that if you want to put planned amounts, this is where you would type this in. And then you can start seeing how if you put in the exact amount, there is no difference. Now, based on all the numbers that we have put in, you can see in the nice little graphs that they give you, starting balance we entered is $6,000, and with our savings, it shows 713. Now, if I was playing with some numbers here, now as I told you before, the actuals are based in the transaction page. So for the retail store card, we spent $25. So, and it shows up over here, and that'll reflect our savings. But when I was talking about the difference here, now we've got our planned amounts which seem to match and correlate with that, so it shows no difference. But let's say your mortgage comes in and it's gone up, so now it's $780. So now that shows the difference of -30. You'll see that it shows a drop in your net, and it also changes the percentage of your increased savings. And you'll see the totals reflect in the graphs as well. Let's say that your income, for whatever reason, due to a deduction or a demotion or something, but your paycheck is less than what your planned is. So to show that you're short 167 here, shows it in the graph that you're less than your planned. Shows that your savings is decreased as well as the percentage is dropped. Like I said, this is a nice little program. It's free, and what I would recommend doing, you can go in here, and I've tried it just to test. You can start adding the next month, but when you do that, these numbers start doubling, and it doesn't really make sense. It can, but it would be smarter just to go ahead and save this sheet per month. So in order to, in Google Sheets or in Google Period, in order to save, you do what they call make a copy. Now I've already made this thing as the month of December. Just leave everything that's by the defaults and just name it and hit OK. And then you can see when you go to next time you log into Google Sheets, it'll be there. And the nice thing about that is say it's the next month. You don't want to have to re-enter all this stuff right here. Even your planned and your actuals may stay close to the same. So what you can do is when you bring it up the next month, go in here and change your dates, the amounts if they've changed at all, or add or subtract categories. A category can be dropped if you just hit the delete key. Or maybe on a phone or tablet, hold down and hit delete. And then you can go back up here and make a copy and then save it, say February or January 2020. So this would be another free program. Now, in all honesty, if you're really living a tight budget and you really want to try to improve your budget and stuff, and you want something a little more simple instead of having to enter a lot of different information like this either into a spreadsheet or or even this template that Google gives you for free, you still have to enter information, but a paid software would actually work better. It gives you a little bit more information. It gives you tips. A lot of people have actually saved quite a bit of money using paid software. And we'll take a look at that paid software in the next upcoming video. Now, never did get back to the savings, why that it should be considered a fixed expense. And I may have talked about it in the other video, but I'm just going to kind of go over brief. You should always at least take 10% out of your income. In other words, like I'm basing this whole scenario on 32,000 a year take home after deductions. So 10% of 32,000 would be 3,200, and you break that down by 12 months, and that'd make it $267 a month. So that would be a fixed expense. This is how you actually get ahead and actually put money back. So not everybody's situation is where they have enough money to take 10% out of their income, but the rule of thumb, take 10% out and make that a fixed expense. In other words, you include that in your expenses, and that way you're getting ahead to where you can pay bills or buy the things you want. And as I've mentioned before, a budget is actually designed to save money to buy the things that you want, not what you need. The things of what you need are in the budget. But that's just one reason why I had set that savings as an expenditure, because I know a lot of people ask me that doesn't sound right. Why would a savings be an expense? But that's why it would be. So I hope that helped explain a little bit how a budget works, why you do it, and how you use Google Sheets, or how you can use Google Sheets to be a tool to help you do your budget. So if this did help you out, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and be sure to look for my next video on or basically how I'm using a paid software to do about what we've been doing, but it's laid out completely different. So be sure to stay tuned and look for that video. Thanks for watching.